So the next piece of work that you actually have to study is Augustus and the New Golden Age, which you'll find on page 166 to 169 of the textbook. It is something that comes into his art, his literature, and all sorts of things. Anything that is associated with things growing, fertility, is a reference back to Augustus and the New Golden Age. And here on this title slide, you can actually see a picture from the infamous Arapakis that I keep going on about, the altar of peace. And you can see, I'm assuming you can see the cows, the symbols of fertility and growth. In here you can see the plants, you can see the young animals as well. So you can also see this mother figure. It might be Tellus, it might be Ceres, with the two children, and hopefully you can see that this is going to be one of the big enduring images of the New Golden Age, and I've no doubt that we will return back to Augustus and the Golden Age later. Before working on this PowerPoint, you should read the sheet marked how to work with this PowerPoint. This is a little bit different to the way that we've normally worked. This is a little bit more interactive, so I do expect you to click on the little audio files, listen to them, and add notes. When you add notes, remember that right at the very end of each poem will be my usual A3 sheet note type things, but each slide has got something slightly different and analyses the poems for you as well. So you might want to add those to the main body of the text. So let me just make a suggestion. If you're using the paper copies or the electronic copies, the audio file notes could go on the main body of the poem, and then following each of the poems you'll find my usual notes, which should go in the notes section. If you're using the electronic copies, then don't forget insert, comment, highlighter. So when you use your highlighter, you can just simply go highlighter, insert, comment, and then add bits there. So why was it important for Augustus to proclaim this golden age? If he could convince Romans that their lives would be better off under him, then they would be less likely to actually revolt against him. And of course the question is, what on earth is a golden age? Gold obviously symbolises riches, and the golden age was in fact originally written about hundreds of years before Augustus by the Greek poet Hesiod. And in his golden age, the first men lived carefree lives, free from suffering and hard work. Earth and fertile crops came forth without the need for farming, and that age was in fact ruled by the god Saturn. But the idea is, of course, that as time goes on, ages of other metals signified increasing corruption. So you got the Silver Age or the Bronze Age. But Augustus then wants to return back to this new golden age, this age of ease, where he's bringing lack of suffering, he's bringing back the carefree times, etc. But naturally, Saturn wasn't actually ruling Rome directly again. Augustus claimed that golden ages were cyclical, which means that they happened every so often and just so happened to occur under Augustus's age, of course. Under his age, he says, it is time to return to the golden age. And a golden age came to an end when Saturn was overthrown by Jupiter. So the implication is, of course, that if Augustus is overthrown, then the new golden age would actually end. The golden age dates from 17 BC, when a games called the Ludi Saeculares were held. That means the secular games. And it was a 3-day a night affair, a festival in honour of the gods, in particular with Diana and Apollo, god of the sun, god of the moon. And this Ludi Saeculares, the secular games, had sacrifices and entertainment, and signified the fact that Augustus was returning back to this golden age. All the Romans were invited, even those who previously been banned under the Leges Julii because of their unmarried status, and it was a fresh start for Rome. Augustus claimed that the golden age of Augustus had been prophesied by the Sibylline oracles, the very gods themselves. So we're going to look now at the prescribed text. There are two prescribed texts here, both I think by Horace. This is the first prescribed text we need to have a look at, something called the Carmen Saeculare, the secular songs, written in 17 BC for the Ludi Saeculares, the secular games. And with this, the youth of Rome sang the song dressed in white at the Temple of Apollo on the Palatine Hill, and then indeed on the Capitol Hill, the centre of political life. And it, of course, became important because through the youth of Rome, children would come to perpetuate the greatness of the city. The age of Saturn is meant to be one of fertility. So with this particular section, what I'm going to try and do is to actually read the poem, and then there will be an analysis of that particular section on the right hand side as well. So hopefully that might work. So this is Horace Carmen Saeculare, the first three stanzas. O Phoebus, Diana, queen of the woodlands, bright heavenly glories, both worshipped forever and cherished forever, now grant what we pray for at this sacred time. When Sibylline verses have issued their warning to innocent boys and virgins we've chosen to sing out their songs to the gods who've shown their love for the seven hills. O kindly sun, in your shining chariot, who herald the day, then hide it to be born again. New, yet the same, you'll never know anything mightier than Rome. So if you have a look at the first verse, you can see, as I've said before, really, that we are going to be dealing with, in this poem, with the two gods, Apollo, O Phoebus, that's Phoebus Apollo, is the first god, and his sister Diana, queen of the woodlands, is the second god. So Phoebus stands for the sun and Diana stands for the moon. Augustus is bringing a new golden age. The sun is taking away the darkness, and I hope you can think back really to the Prima Porta statue where you see that image very clearly on the breastplate there of Apollo chasing away Diana, the sun chasing away the moon, Augustus bringing light into the darkness. So that's the first verse that we've got here. And then in the second verse here, we can talk about the Sibylline verses. That refers back to the fact that Augustus picks and chooses the oracles that herald his golden age, the prophecies that herald his golden age, and he has a series of books, Sibylline books, edited to show that really he was the one that history had been waiting for all along. And it says here, the girls, the innocent boys, the virgins. We've talked about how important virginity was in the ancient world. The idea that at least the females have got to remain chaste, they've got to remain innocent, they've got to remain as virgins, so that we know that those are really Roman citizens that are being born, and no other Spanish ship's captain, as it were, from the previous poem, has become the father. So those young boys and those young girls are singing out their love for the seven hills of Rome. O kindly sun, that's Apollo, herald the day. Let us be born again, let the light come. There is nothing mightier than Rome. O gentle Ilithyia, duly revealing the child at full term, now protect gentle mothers, whether you'd rather be known as Lucania or Genitalis. Goddess, nurture our offspring, bring to fruition the Senate's decree concerning the wedlock of women who bear as more of our children the laws of marriage. So the fixed cycle of years, 10 times 11, will bring back the singing again, bring back the games. We crowd to 3 times by daylight as often by beautiful night. And so let's have a look at these 3 verses. O gentle Ilithyia, duly revealing. She's a goddess of wedlock, childbirth, Of course, that's what Augustus wants. He wants to be associated with the fertility of Rome, children being born. That is why he's got virgins singing this song, both male and female. But gentle Ilithyia duly revealing the child at full turn, whether you be known as Lucania or Genitalis. Basically, all three of these here, Ilithyia, Lucania, Genitalis, they're all goddesses associated with fertility. And what do we need to bring back? Well, we need to think about the Senate's decrees concerning wedlock of women who bear more of the children. I'm sure you can think back really to the Leges Iuliae, which was set up really to make sure that there was no adultery in Rome, and those that were caught in adulterous affairs were heavily punished. And so you can see here that the boys and the girls of Rome call upon Ilithyia, Lucania, Genitalis to bring back the cycle of years, 10 times 11, bring back the singing again, restore to Rome that golden age. And you, the fates who are truthful in prophecy, link happy destinies as once been ordained, and let the certain course of events confirm it to those that are past. Let earth that is fruitful in crops and in cattle adorn our Ceres with garlands of wheat ears, and may Jupiter's life-giving rain and breezes ripen the harvest. Gentle and peaceful Apollo, lay down your arms, and listen now to the young lad's supplications. Luna, crescent-horned queen of the constellations, give ear to the girl. These verses are, of course, all about how Augustus has been ordained by fate and prophecy to bring this new golden age. The whole earth, the whole world has been waiting for this new secular age and for Augustus to bring it. And so that's what you find really in stanza 1, in verse 1. And in verse 2 there you can see that let earth that is fruitful with crops and in cattle adorn our Ceres with garlands of wheat ears. That because this new golden age, which is associated with Augustus, has come, so the earth is fruitful, rain comes, harvest comes as well. And Apollo has lain down his arms, and listening now to the young lad's cries, Luna has also joined in. So basically the final chapter here is all about how the gods, Apollo and Diana, actually are part of this, how they are listening to and helping Augustus bring this new golden age. Light is chasing away darkness. If Rome is your doing, and if from far Ilium came that band of people who reached Tuscan shores, those commanded to change their home and their city on a lucky course, those for whom pious Aeneas, the survivor, who passed without injury through the flames of Troy, prepared a path to freedom destined to grant him much more than he'd lost. Then you divinities show our receptive youth, virtue grant peace and quiet to the old, give children and wealth to the people of Romulus, and every glory. So not just the gods, but the heroes are obviously on Augustus's side too. In chapter 1 here, if Rome is your doing, and if from far Ilium come that band of people who reach the Tuscan shores, it's simply Ilium is Troy. So it's a reminder that Aeneas, Augustus's ancestor, came from Troy and helped to settle on people on the Tuscan shore in Italy. Pious Aeneas, you'll notice, the survivor, the one who comes through the flames, the one who's come through trials. And I guess it's a little bit like Rome itself has come through trials. Children and wealth will be brought to the people of Romulus if this new golden age is allowed to thrive. Whatever a noble descendant of Venus and Anchises asks, with a white steer's sacrifice, let him obtain, a winner in war, merciful to our fallen foe. Now the Parthians fear our forces, powerful on land and on sea. They fear the Alban axes. Now the once proud Indians, now the Scythians, beg for an answer. Our faith and peace, honour and ancient modesty dare to return once more, with neglected virtue and blessed plenty dares to appear again now with her flowing horn. So in verse 1 here, the noble descendant of Venus and Anchises is, of course, Augustus himself. Let him obtain a winner in war, merciful to our fallen foe. And then again, we're back to the Parthian wars. Now the Parthians fear us. Now the Indians and the Scythians beg for an answer. Augustus then has not just brought a fertile golden age with the new crops growing, etc. The old enemies of Rome, the Parthians, have been subdued. Faith, peace, honour, modesty, virtue, all of those things, plenty. You'll notice peace, faith, honour, modesty, virtue, plenty. These are the old Roman values who have become personified now and associated with Augustus himself. A little bit like the Pax coin. You remember Pax was an ancient virtue that had become personified. Here it is faith, peace, honour, modesty, virtue, plenty. May Phoebus, the augur, decked with a shining bow, Phoebus who's dear to the nine muses, that Phoebus who can offer relief to a weary body with his healing art, may here, if he ever favours the Palatine altars, extend Rome's power and Latium's good fortune. Through the fresh ages show always improvement, lustre ever new. And may Diana, to whom is the Aventine, and Mount Augustus, accept the entreaties of the 15 and attend and lend a fond ear to these children's prayers. So Phoebus Apollo, the augur, is called upon here by the children who are singing. They're praying for healing to return to the nation if he favours the Palatine altars. They're praying for Rome's power to be extended. Lustra, that is, I guess, riches to come to Rome. And the 15, those priests of Rome, there were 15 of them, a particular college of Romans, Roman priests are asked to lend a fond ear to these children's prayers. Remember that the Carmen Saeculare is sung by children. We bear to our home the fine hope and certain that such is Jupiter's and all the gods' purpose. We are taught, we, the chorus, to sing praise of Phoebus, praise of Diana. And so it's rather obvious that just the end of this poem is all about praising the gods, Jupiter, Phoebus, Apollo, Diana, thanking the gods for this new fertility, this new golden age that Augustus has brought. Phoebus condemned my verse when I tried to sing of war in conquered city, lest I unfurled my tiny sail and Tyrian seas. Caesar, this age, has restored rich crops to the fields and brought back the standards at last to Jupiter, those that we've now recovered from insolent Parthian pillars, and closed the gates of Romulus's temple. So Augustus is not just associated with the crops growing and fertility. You certainly saw in the Carmen Saeculare how it was associated with fertility and the longevity of the state. In this one, it's all about how he has brought the Pax Augusta or the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome, to the whole empire. So the first line, Phoebus condemned my verse when I tried to sing of war and conquered cities, lest I unfurled my tiny sail on Tyrian seas. It's simply saying that it's Apollo that wants this peacetime. And Caesar, you'll notice Augustus has restored crops. There's that fertility image coming out again. And brought back the standards. And of course that is referring to the Parthian standards that he brought back in 20 BC. That's 7 years before this poem was written. And now we've recovered from insolent Parthians and closed the gates of Romulus's temple. Romulus's temple here is, in fact, the temple of Janus Quirinius, whose gates would only be symbolically closed at times when the empire was at peace. Freed at last from all war and tightened the rein on lawlessness, straying beyond just limits, and has driven out crime and summoned the ancient arts again, by which the name of Rome and Italian power grew great, and the fame and majesty of our empire was spread from the sun's lair in the west to the regions where it rises at dawn. These verses are fairly straightforward and fairly self-explanatory. It's just talking about now that the Pax Augusta, now that the peace of Rome has returned, and Augustus is associated with bringing that peace. Also, throughout the empire, there is no crime, there's no lawlessness, and the fame and majesty of Roman Italian power grows great. Notice from the west to the east. And you're going to find this business of Augustus conquering from west to east, again picked up on the breastplate at Prima. With Caesar protecting the state, no civil disturbance will banish the peace, no violence, no anger that forges swords and makes mutual enemies of the wretched towns. The tribes who drink from the depths of the Danube will not break Julian law, the Getae, nor Ceres, nor faithfulest Persians, nor those who are born by the Don's wide stream. And so here we just continue the idea that Augustus Caesar has brought peace throughout the empire, really, no violence, no anger that forges swords, etc. And then the second verse here simply talks about the scope of the empire, really, the tribes that drink from the depths of the Danube in Germany, do not break the Julian law, even those barbaric Germans he's brought peace to, the Getae, who, for instance, are from Bulgaria, Romania, the Ceres from China, and the Persians or the Parthians. The Julian law implying that these people are under Roman control. Of course, all of this is a very big exaggeration, because these people, these regions, are at peace with Rome, but they are not Roman provinces. On working days, and the same on holy days, among laughter-loving Bacchus's gifts to us, with our wives and our children, we'll pray at first to the gods in the rites laid down, then in the manner of our fathers, bravely in verse that's accompanied by Lydian flutes. We'll sing past leaders, we'll sing of Troy, Anchises, and the people of Venus. So here, now that peace has returned, it's a time of feasting. Laughter-loving Bacchus has given gifts to us. It's a time of bringing wine. It's a time of sacrificing, the same on holy days. Praying to the gods in the rites, the sacred rites of religion laid down. And then in the manner of fathers bravely in verse, it's about time we went back to singing about how great our leaders were, just like we sing of Troy, Anchises, and the people of Venus. So obviously there, in the mention of Venus and Anchises, it's a reminder to Rome of Augustus's great ancestry.